For me, growing up, I was very close to my grandparents. My mum and dad divorced when I was quite young, so my mum spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and it was lovely because we lived close by, so we was always over there number of times every week, and it was such a lovely childhood being so close to them. But quite suddenly in 2009, my mum passed away, and that relationship with my grandparents, I suppose, became even closer. We spent a lot more time together, and I think we helped each other through that really difficult period. And then a year later, my granddad suffered a stroke, which left him disabled. So he lost the use of his left leg and his left arm. With lots of rehabilitation, he managed to be able to walk, but he needed assistance with that and wasn't able to walk very far. So I suppose this was more of the start of where I noticed that things started to change. And I suppose the role reversal started, and it was very gradual. So it happened over a number of years. So my granddad, got himself back to the best that he could be with lots of rehab and support from us. Um, but I noticed that my nan started to become quite forgetful. Again, it was little things, she'd just repeat herself. And I just thought, maybe it was, what's happened to my granddad affecting her. But after a while, I thought this might be something more than that. After a while, lots of phone calls, doctor's appointments. She was diagnosed with vascular dementia. She had COPD, so every time she had a breathing episode, it seemed to make her dementia worse. So she seemed to spiral quite quickly, and she passed away in 2017. So after that, obviously, I was very concerned for my granddad being alone, and my nan supported my grandfather so much. Whilst he was still very independent, she was there and she was able to, make sure he was always okay. So at that point, it was quite concerning because I was like, he's on his own. And whilst he's only 10 minutes down the road from me, I just need reassurance that he was going to be okay. So that's when we started having social services appointments, more home adaptions. We got him a pendant alarm to make sure he was okay if he fell, just to provide that bit of extra reassurance. And I suppose this is when I started to notice that my role was changing even more. It was almost like the role reverse. I think I became the parent, the sensible one for my grandfather. So he was fine, but then COVID hit, and he was also considered clinically extremely vulnerable. He had COPD, and obviously he was disabled as well. So he wasn't meant to leave the home. So then my involvement became even more. So things like, regular shopping. He had a couple of dogs, so going around to walk the dogs regularly. And this was combined with generally, COVID, trying to homeschool two young children and work. And it was an extremely stressful time. And I suppose, he wasn't too bad during that period. There was lots of extra help. But it was more sort of at the beginning of 2023 that he started to become quite ill, and he was in and out of hospital for a period of 4 months, and lots of complications. And I think that's when I really felt that caring responsibility even more. There are a number of calls with carers, calls with hospital, trying to get him home again, dealing with respite care. It was really a sort of intense period of 4 months, which was the time he got quite ill to passing away. And it was actually his year anniversary yesterday.